I'm Darian of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and you're watching Fan to Fan Network, the voice that sports fans deserve. Just win, baby.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old line. Car insurance costs.
What's going on, Raider Nation? What is going on? It is your boy Darian coming to you live with another video. It is the Spotlight Raiders Talk. Shout out to all the subscribers that have subscribed to the YouTube page. If this is your first time ever being at our YouTube page, I would suggest that you subscribe and hit that bell button and get the latest news and all Raiders news. But we're here with another Raiders video, and this is some more off-season talk for the Las Vegas Raiders, giving you content every single day, at least 2 videos a day. Make sure you subscribe because we are on the road to 3,000 subscribers. But I wanted to get into another part of the video. I wanted to get into another video for y'all, and that is a video of the Las Vegas Raiders, 4 players who could be cut before the NFL preseason. Now, I have to say that the 2020 Las Vegas Raiders have more talent on the depth chart than last year's past, which means a lot of guys could be gone before even the preseason begins. So in 2020, the Las Vegas Raiders roster is much improved from last year. Can't say much about that, meaning it will become more difficult for players to make the roster. Now, since taking over, General Manager Mike Mayock has done a tremendous job teaming up with Jon Gruden, trying to revamp the roster thanks to some of the solid drafting and free agent spending that we did in the offseason. Now, the Raiders have improved their roster a ton since the 2019 season, adding not only instant starters but a lot of depth as well, and players are going to have to prove themselves even more in a shortened season with the COVID-19 and everything that has been going on, and players are on a bubble last year, may not even make the team this year. As we inch closer, to the NFL season, the Raiders' current roster is taking shape, and looking at the depth chart, big decisions definitely have to be made. I can say one thing to be made clear, that Gruden will cut you no matter where you were drafted. If you cannot help him win games, he will show you the door. That's exactly what he would do. So here are the 4 players that could be cut before the NFL preseason. Here are the 4 players that could be cut from the Las Vegas Raiders even before the preseason. And the first one that we do have is Zay Jones. Now, one player that the Raiders fans have been getting excited about this offseason is Zay Jones, because the amount of work he's been doing with Derek Carr over the past couple of months. Unfortunately, that does not guarantee the spot on the roster, as the Raiders have made a concerted effort to revamp the wide receiver room this offseason. Now, Jones has not done much over the last 2 years, whether he was with the Raiders or the Buffalo Bills. He had plenty of playmaking last season with two teams, but only recording 20 catches for 174 yards and no touchdowns. In 2018, Jones recorded 7 receptions for 69 yards. The Raiders have more than enough receivers on the roster right now, with Henry Ruggs III, Tyrell Williams, Hunter Renfrow, Brian Edwards, and Nelson Aguilar, and the addition of Lynn Bowden Jr. can potentially play a wide receiver if the necessity arises. And if all those guys stay, Jones will likely be the odd man out. The next player that can be cut for the Las Vegas Raiders and probably won't make it to the preseason is running back Devante Booker. Now, the Raiders needed to get help for Josh Jacobs in the running back group, but Devante Booker was not the player that I had in mind, in my personal opinion. Jalen Richard is a good combination with Jacobs, and Richard is a great pass-catching running back, but the Raiders lack a big smash-mouth runner to complement the second-year back in Josh Jacobs. Unfortunately, the Raiders brought in another receiving back, which has not produced lately as well. Booker has not had a good season since 2016. With Jacobs carrying most of the load, he will likely not be needed in 2020. Richard and the rookie Lynn Bowden Jr. are both versatile backs, and they're going to fit in nicely behind Jacobs. For Booker, he's going to have to come one heck of a training camp. He got to have a great training camp to make this team, as Rashard is not going anywhere after signing the extension, and Bowden is viewed as a steal of the draft in 2020. And the third player that may not make the team and may be cut before the preseason will be PJ Hall, defensive tackle. Now, PJ Hall has not been the player the Raiders have hoped for. It would become when they selected him in the second round of the 2018 draft. Although he has been awful, he will be fighting for a spot on this team. In 2 years, Hall has recorded just 1.5 sacks as a player that bought to be a pass rushing defensive tackle and has company in 2020. The Raiders have a solid group of defensive tackles, although there are good chances Hall makes the team and there are no promises. Fellow 2018 draft pick Maurice Hurst has a better much start to his career, and Jonathan Hankins proved that he could get the job done in his first year with the team in 2019. And finally, the addition of Malik Collins could be a last straw for Hall. We would have to, prove with a new defensive line coach in Ron Marinelli, where he could definitely get his career on track. Marinelli comes to the Raiders from Dallas, just like Collins. If Hall falters this summer, I don't see Gruden hesitating to move on. And last but not least, it'll be the fourth player that possibly would get cut by the time preseason comes around. It would be Brandon Parker, offensive tackle for the Raiders. Now, the Raiders fans have been asking for Brandon Parker to be released since his rookie season, and this year will likely be that year. Parker was kept on the roster because of his ability to play multiple positions, but the Raiders now have multiple offensive linemen that can do as well as much as play at a higher level. Parker was arguably the worst offensive lineman in the league in his rookie season, although he was improved. He is still a liability when he's on the field. I would be incredibly surprised if he keeps making the team in 2020, especially due to the fact that the Raiders brought in a good depth in Eric Kush and Eric Munguson this offseason to fight for a job. Now, Denzel Good and David Sharp are going to make the team with Trent Brown and Colton Miller locked in as the starters. I am struggling to see where Parker fits. Here is the third round pick for the Raiders in 2018's draft class that is starting to look like a complete dud outside of Miller and Hurst. Okay, this is my personal opinion. These are my thoughts on the article, because this article is from justblogbaby.com. So I just want to give my opinion on this article and on this news that has been going on with the Las Vegas Raiders. I completely agree with all four of these players that might be cut, but the main one that I really don't want to see cut is Zay Jones. I think Zay Jones is one of those guys that have something that needs to be proven to the Las Vegas Raiders, knowing he came over in a half a year with us still learning the Jon Gruden offense. I'm not really a big fan of Nelson Aguilar. I think Nelson Aguilar will be cut before Zay Jones will. But I think Zay Jones will end up making his team some way, somehow, in my personal opinion. When it comes to Brandon Parker, we have not seen much from Brandon Parker, so I can see him being on there. Devante Booker, I don't understand why we got the pick. I understand you needed more depth and bring some competition into the training camp when it comes to the running back position, but I don't see him staying with us by the preseason. And PJ Hall has not really did much for us. 1.5 sacks in 2 years that you've been with us. I could completely understand that, why you want to move on from him, but I'm not really too shabby about them saying Zay Jones, because Zay Jones is a talent. He just need to show his talent. He just never really been able to show off his ability, knowing that we have a Tyrell Williams and all these other receivers coming in now, but now he has to prove himself in training camp, so he won't be cut by preseason. Let me know what you think about this video, Raider Nation. Let me know what you think about this video. How do you feel about these four players possibly being cut by preseason? Comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. It is the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and I will see y'all in the next video.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old line. Car insurance cost